Hello, hello,
Hello.
hello. Welcome
Hi,
back to the
everyone.
Hawaiian recap.
We are really
As you,
excited. We made it one more time, and this time is the Megaleg. And I am
yeah,
Cesar.
Megaleg. I'm Ricky, and as you can see, we are separate. Oh no, we're so far apart.
And I get the good lightning, the good light,
You get the
the
good
nice
lighting,
backdrop.
the nice backdrop. Hey, I still have good lighting. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're prepared.
I'm prepared. I have
Well,
the good too.
uh,
Well, welcome back. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to give a good recap of our experience on the Mega Leg in
it was
Argentina.
so tough, and as you can see there, well, we have a lot to talk about. Again, this is a
Lots to talk
recap. This is a recap mostly from our perspective. We do mention a little bit of what some other things that happened on the episode, but pretty much it's just like how it's been for us. Yeah. So Ricky, are you ready?
about. I'm ready. I want to say thank you for everyone who's joining us. We've got some people coming back every week, so I really want to thank you all for coming. If you could hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, we really appreciate it. Also, if you'd like, you can check us out on Instagram as well. Ricky and Cesar on Instagram. You can check us out
Oh
there.
yeah, I
Go
have
ahead.
one more thing to say. Like, please click subscribe because we're gonna be
Oh,
releasing our audition video probably this week. So if you want to stay up to date and just see what got us on the Amazing Race, make sure you subscribe and put the notifications on. I don't know. I
yes.
mean, I'm still learning how to use it.
I know, right? A couple of people have been asking, like, what was the audition process like? And they've been like, what was the process like? So one of the things is an audition video. So we figured it'd be kind of cool to, um, show you how we got on.
Oh, that's the other thing. We've been reading the questions on the comments. So if you have comments, questions later, and you're watching later, just leave them there. We're gonna be reading all those.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah.
Sarah's here. Hey, Sarah from Entertainment.
Hi, Sarah.
Mark here, and our friend Laura is here, and Lynette and Kathy. Hey. All right, let's get focused here. Let's get
Yes.
right into it. So we started the Mega Leg in Argentina, Córdoba.
In Córdoba, Argentina. Yes. And
Yes.
this time we are starting our group. Again, this is the COVID season, the last of the COVID season, hopefully. And this time we're starting with a new team, Juan and Shane. Wow.
Yeah, first time Juan and Shane
Yeah.
in Group
What?
1. And let me tell you, the intensity just before we stepped off, I mean, you could feel like the
They've been
energy.
waiting. They've been waiting to be on that first group. They're ready for everything and
They
anything.
were ready. I
And
mean, you heard them the clip before where we're a first place team coming in the middle of the pack, and this was their time to shine. And boy, were we were prepared. We were ready to give them a fight. And it was
yeah,
a
it was a really intense day,
it was an
as you could see.
intense, great day of racing. And just before we ripped that clue, it was like you could feel like the energy. Um, yeah, so
Yeah, I
we
mean,
ripped the clue, and it says make it to
the read the clue
the
says, and let me tell you, based on my notes, because I do have my notebook over here. Welcome to Córdoba,
Voladoras.
Argentina. This is a mega leg drive to Plaza del Bicentenario to get your next clue. And this time we got 23,000 Argentinian pesos. Uh,
Yeah, got some.
so now
So
we know, well, now we
cars
know that,
were right across the street.
and we know that on the car there's a map, or that's what we imagine, right? Because we have
Well, yeah,
gotten a
I
map
mean
in Chile.
the cars were right there, so we ran straight to the cars. There was a map inside. It doesn't show us. It makes it look like miraculous. Ricky and Cesar know how to just get everywhere. No, there was a map inside the car. We
And
stopped,
we,
got directions.
correct. As always,
The
we
road
got
trip.
our directions. We ask for a phone. We look at it. We look at a map. What was the fastest route?
And
Take notes on a map. And we made it to Plaza del Bicentenario. So this
yeah,
plaza was pretty much like Olympic rings, I would say.
Yeah, I think that was like the concept of it.
There were a lot of
Which, yeah, there was a lot of rings, and something they didn't show, which I thought was like kind of a cool thing, and you can catch it if you really looked closely. All of those envelopes, there were some decoys.
so a lot
So
of them said try again.
try again. So if you look like Juan and Shane, if you look, they had like 6 envelopes in their hand. So you had to like keep pulling till you got the actual clue. I think we
Which
got.
I
Go
think
ahead.
we got it maybe at the 4, but at the end, like this is what like at the
We got it
second
on
one.
the second envelope because I pulled the first one. It said try again. And
Oh,
so
but
we
you said
looked around.
something like it was really thin.
It was
You said
thin.
like
So I was like, look for a thicker envelope.
that's
So it was like, don't look for the
true.
thin ones, look for a thicker envelope. So we got it on the second envelope. So I was like,
As
don't
well,
pull
I guess
envelopes
this
down.
time it was harder if you were the first team to get there because there were more options. But I think you
Yeah.
being observant about that, like the thickness of the envelope, just knowing that we needed to get that detour like little folder thing.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so then we got it. We got there
So we
really
got
fast.
it.
I mean, it was like 9 minutes, like well, that's
Yeah,
what Google Maps says.
it was a
We did
quick
it
drive.
maybe in 10 minutes, and then
Yeah.
we get
Do you
our
remember what we did after we got the envelope?
Oh yeah, we went and like duck like next to our car. So
We like hid behind the car, like
so
we were
now
playing hide and
you
seek.
have to remember that you have your crew with you, your audio and your camera. So like even if you're ducking down, they're still next to you. So
Like
we're
they
like,
were
crap,
gonna
we're
hide
gonna be.
behind the car too. No, you know what? They may duck down too. Maybe they were good sports
I
about it,
can
but we didn't
remember,
want
but
anyone to see us.
and
So
by
like
anyone we meant Juan and Shane.
yeah. So we ducked down, and then we looked, and it said
So
either.
now we get our detour, which is bicicleta or boleadora. Bicicleta, pedal a recycling bike and process plastic bottles to receive a clue from one of the inventors. Or boleadora, score 2 hits throwing a boleadora weapon at a target to receive a clue from the gaucho. So now we decided that we have good aim. Some other things that, I mean, we like doing random things. And by random things, we love, like, we have done archery here in New York. I have done axe throwing. Have you ever done axe throwing?
Yeah, I've done axe throwing.
Because we
I've done.
didn't do
I
it
grew
together.
up
We need to
doing
go back.
archery.
Um,
I grew up
yeah,
doing archery. I've shot a rifle before. Like I've done lots of different types of like sports and stuff. So like I have good eye-hand coordination. So I knew that like doing a throwing thing was going to be like, yes, it's a skill, which a lot of times like past racers are like learning a skill could be a risk because it's new and it takes time. But I knew I have pretty good hand-eye coordination. So it's like I can pick up axe throwing. I can pick up different types of, sport. So I'm like throwing a thing, if is it a cross, is it this,
and
horseshoes.
I guess I knew that if Ricky could accomplish it, I could too. So we
I mean,
just went for
it,
that.
it did
So
take me a
now
little time to figure it out, but
looking back to it, which was funny because like I ended up getting it a little faster than you.
you did get it
But
faster than me.
now looking back at it, I think definitely the bicycle would
Oh,
have
look
been.
who's in the house.
Ooh, Juan and Shay.
Shane. What's
Hey
that?
guys. Yeah, we're saying like how tough of competition you were on this leg. Like it's just, I mean, we'll see what happens next week, but it's just we knew from the beginning that we were up with a really
Yeah.
strong team that was hungry for the first place.
Yeah.
And look what
So
happened. So,
I think also one of the other reasons why we picked doing the Voladoras was like the bicycle riding takes a lot of physical energy. And as you can see, the title of this episode is The Megaleg is a Marathon. You don't like, you just don't know what's going to happen through the leg of the race.
also,
And so like,
there was one more thing, Ricky, and let me remind you, we did ask for directions for both places. And the
that's,
bicicleta was a little farther, although it
mhm,
looked straightforward. Like the boleadora was like around the corner, it was like maybe like
it was
five
very
to
close.
7 minutes, was on the same park. And it just said like Teatro Griego or something. That was our like our point of reference. So it was closer, and we just said that
Right.
that. And honestly, like once we got there as a super fan and we saw the setup, I was like, yeah, this is true amazing race. This is a challenge that has been taken lots of effort to put together. And yeah, we made it there. We were the first ones. So there's a couple things that you have to know about this challenge, because first we needed a little training. We needed to suit up. We have our little like hats and our handkerchiefs. That, by the way, we ended up saving those handkerchiefs and we gave it to our moms.
Yeah.
They
So
did not know.
now our parents, now our moms know like why that handkerchief is so nice and like sentimental. It's like from this episode we
Which is really sweet, because we did not tell them where we got them from. It was just like a gift. But yeah, we needed to suit up, and then there were a couple rules that we needed to do. So we have 10 of the Voladoras that between both of us we needed to get 1 point each, or one of them wrapped around any part of the bull. So now the bull was being pulled by a person. So on one way was going slower, the other way was going a little faster.
Yeah.
So you needed to pick up on that. Also, it was like if there were more teams over there, if someone was still throwing, you could not pick up the boleadoras. So if you think
had
about
to
it,
wait all the teams through before you could retrieve.
so if you think strategically, if you have another team over there, you could go slower and they cannot really pick up because someone is still throwing. So they will have to go to your pace, which now is just something that we're thinking at afterwards, right? And that was about it. There were 4 stations. So there were 4 horses. Over there, we can see it on this, just like it was the aerial. So as well, I think that might have influenced a little bit on the decision of the alliance.
I really do think this was part of it, because the group of 3 that came in, they saw, okay, Juan and Shane are working. Ricky, like the 2 of us were working, and there's only 2 stations open. They're like, well, we've got to wait till they finish or that they rotate. So, you know, you're going to have to wait until we finish. It's going to take a while. And each time it went back and forth, like it took a little bit. I mean, if you can see, like we were there long enough for them to arrive.
And as well, when we were leaving, you saw that Melissa and Ivan were arriving.
Right.
So that was
that's already there. They started 30 minutes behind us, plus the time they got there. So that's 40 minutes.
Yeah, that we spent.
Actually, longer than that. Because
no, but just consider that we had to drive as well. So whatever time was, like it took us a while because it was getting the rhythm, noticing that the bull was going faster and then was going slower, and then just getting it. So now I saw earlier, I think was on the entertainment recap, someone was commenting that the person that wasn't getting it, it was better if they did it first. We thought completely the opposite. So because I was getting it faster, I think it was easier for me to try to get it in 1 or 2 tries, and then having Ricky going after, so he could have as many. Instead of me trying to pick up the little amount, I think it's just it.
Yeah, because the first
better strategically for us.
The first time we did it, I was throwing first, and I was using them all up, and then like you had nothing to do. Like you didn't have enough to, you know, to throw. So it was like, okay, you go first, you get it on there with like 2 or 3 tries, and then I try and get it within like the 7 or 6 or 7 tries. So that's when it ended up working. One of the things that I was trying to do was like, what kept happening was I was hitting like the middle and the head. I was like aiming too high, and it was like, oh, you just need to hit the legs. It also was very windy. So if you didn't have like enough like gusto to like get it through and across, like the wind was a factor, you know.
It was tricky. It was definitely tricky. And the other thing that we had to remember, it was a weapon. So it was as well the nervous of like, if I throw it behind, there's a lot of producers on the back. There's like all the judges and everyone.
Yeah, like hit yourself.
So it's like,
this was the other tricky thing. You were sitting. if you were standing, you could step forward. Like when you're throwing a baseball or a football, like you can step forward and put your body weight to it. This is your sitting. So like, you know, you put your feet in the stirrups.
I don't know. Saddles, no?
You're sitting in a saddle, but your feet are in the stirrups.
Oh, I don't know. You're asking me. Really?
You probably know the word in Spanish, but, so, you know, you're trying to launch yourself forward. Anyway, we get on like the third, fourth, fifth, maybe.
I think it was the fourth maybe that we got it. And also we have to say that it was stressful because we saw Juan and Shane leaving. So we're like, oh, if we don't get it soon, we're gonna be in trouble. But again, it's just calming down. We were getting it close. Either like we have gotten it before, so at this point was just getting the rhythm. We knew exactly the rules now. We knew the speed of the bull. So now it was up to us. But we calmed down. We got it, and we were ready to get out of there.
One of the other strategic things we did was we picked the station not just because it was closest, but the one on the end because you get a little bit more time because it repeats right there. If you picked one of the middle stations, you kind of have to wait for it to travel. You don't get as much time with the bull. That was another reason why we picked that station. But anyway,
just one more thing. I just want to give a shout out to my niece that are I guess it's all three of them. They're on the chat, and I wanted to say hi because, okay.
Yes.
We can
Thank
move
you,
on.
our family. Thank you for
and
being
to everyone
here.
that is joining, to everyone that is in the chat, we're trying to catch up.
I think this might be the most we've had in one live.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. So now we get our clue, and it says drive to this Circuito Lobo race to find your next clue. We get directions as well. As we're leaving, we see Ivan and Melissa. We just tell them like which way it is. And that was about it.
I mean, that's right.
Honestly, they would have found it.
It's so funny because they didn't really need our help, but we were like, let's just give them a pointer. Like, hey, it's down the hill to the left. Like they're such good racers. Like they didn't really need our help with that, but
Yeah, we have learned now that I guess at this point that it's good just to start putting your little
good favors into the world. You never know what's come up later in the race.
Okay, so now we stop and ask for more directions. So now the map, it was a really good map what we had on this leg. I loved it because it really had everything in there, but it had so much that it was hard to find things. So now something that I want to say, we didn't keep that map, but it had a printed map glued to a corner. So it sort of was like, there's something happening there, which it ended up happening. We found that the Circuito Lobo was on that little piece that was glued to the corner.
It was
so
like
now we needed
a little map.
So we took those directions, and as soon as we take off, like we get lost. and of course, we did get lost because we were supposed to stay on big avenues, and we went like into little streets. And at that point, I was like, okay, you just have to go. I think it was north. So I just kept going like north until we made it back to one of the big avenues. I do remember this because at that point I was like, stay calm,
I'm glad you remember.
It wasn't bad. We were in the right direction.
I learned to just relinquish, I guess.
As always, I was like, we're not lost. We're going on the right direction. I just don't know exactly where we're at. So we made it over there. And
I do have to tell you, the drive over there was a good 30.
Google Maps says that is at least 40 minutes if you know where you're driving. So I did check that. We will have a little map later on. We're gonna show it to you. But we ended up
100% did not have that part. Once they were off the map, they were blind.
Really, it was glued. It was glued, son.
Little tiny glued part on the top corner of the map.
It was totally off. It was
a craft. One of the producers must have glued it onto the top.
And to this, I just want to make a note. If the map didn't have it, the cars were randomly there. They always have extra cars. So let's say at
Yeah,
this point there's what, 8 teams, 8 teams.
eight
They
teams.
would be at least 9 cars to be picked.
So
So
you
all
get
of
to
this is
choose
random.
your yeah.
Exactly. So you get to choose your car
Oh, I
randomly, but
wonder.
yeah,
But I will say this. So the ride was very long, and the last like 20 minutes of the ride was all dirt back roads, like dirt, gravel
yes.
back
But
roads.
they were
Like,
markers. We knew that they were markers, and at some point I was starting to get stressed, and I was like, should we turn here? But then we were no, like we mentioned it on
I
our
was like,
Jeep for
we're in the desert. I was like,
we
I don't even know.
we did mention it on our previous recap. Like if you see a flag, a yellow and red flag, it's because it means something. So the
It
fact that
made,
we saw one at the beginning of the dirt road,
yeah,
we knew that there would be more. So we just kept going. We calmed down. We saw another
trust the
marker. We turned. So we ended up making it. We as the guys would say, we teleported to the Circuito Lobo, and we made it there. So to our surprise, we were first. Um, I guess
I
they have
was
like a
very surprised we were first.
and we
Yeah,
got there and now we see that is there's cars, there's
ours.
some suits over there, there's uh of
Who's
course I
got a good
panicked.
sense
I
of
panicked. I
direction?
have to say, and just a reminder, like same thing, like I think we have mentioned it, I got my American driver's license for the race like literally a month before we left. I do know how to drive. Thankfully, in New York, we don't have to drive, so I try to avoid it as much as possible. I was the navigator, Ricky was the driver, and to our surprise, we get there, we read the clue, and it says, who has a good sense of direction? The obvious answer is me,
Yes.
but, but for Cesar, panicking mode because I saw the cars, and I'm trying to remember which season, it might
I
have
mean,
been
and you saw the
29.
suit,
I, I,
like,
I'm trying to remember which season was that they had to do a loop under certain amounts of seconds.
yeah, the
And I was like,
NASCAR. Yeah.
I think so. And I was like, I'm not driving. I am not. Nope, nope. I am not gonna drive. I start panicking, and Ricky was like, no, you're gonna be sitting with, and I was like, no, I'm not doing it. You're doing this one.
Yeah.
So,
I really wanted to have driven one of those cars around the dirt track. Like, it would
oh,
have been
I would
so
know.
awesome.
Thank you.
I was like, really, the whole drive there, I was like, oh, do I get to like drive one of these, like a dirt, like a rally car, like, or something? Like, why are
Nope,
we going to a
not for
racetrack?
me. All for
Uh,
you. And it
yeah,
ended up not
it
being
would have
that.
been so
Uh,
cool.
and on top of that, it is a puzzle that, but because we had this conversation then, and we have the hint that it says who has a good sense of direction. Now we read the clue and the additional information says that we, like, you have to sort of memorize. So you, of course you're being thrown off. Ricky
Oh
gets on the
yeah.
car and then
Oh
I'll let you narrate
yeah.
because
This roadblock was smoke and mirrors, trying to confuse you, like, to the 10th power. Like, the car was just to confuse you and throw you off. And I completely fell for it 3 times around the track. Like,
so
completely fell for it.
I
I
have
was
to
like,
say it was a
go
really
ahead.
hot day. Like
So
it
hot.
was, yeah. You saw me with a
And there
hat and I was still like,
mostly,
nope.
I mean, you saw they put up a tent for you guys because you were standing in the middle of the field.
The tent
So
wasn't
the
there when
car
Shane and
is,
I were there. So that
oh,
was
that's right.
later.
They put it up after. Yeah.
Correct.
So you get all suited up. They put like a fire suit. They put the helmet on. Um, and somebody asked, like, why didn't you take off your helmet in between? Because other teams were taking off their helmet while they were solving the puzzle. Like, I don't have time to take off my helmet. Okay. Um, so you hop in the car and it's a five-point harness. Like, you're smushed in there, and the guy takes off. And the ride was so much fun. Like, I had a blast. Like, he
The
went over
first
the
time.
bumps. The first time, even the second time, I was having a good time. By the
I,
last time, you're getting a little queasy.
I could see it on your face. You were so frustrated, and something that they didn't
I
show.
I was very
I think
frustrated.
after the third time, so we know that on a roadblock, you cannot give any hints to your partner.
Nope.
You cannot say anything. You cannot help, but you can give support. And if your partner asks you, you can give them water. But at that point, Ricky was so frustrated that from where the point that I was at, I just yelled like, he was like, I cannot do this. I'm like, so I just called him. He got a little closer. I was like, calm down. You're gonna get it. Like, just do it one more time, and you got it. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. So when I got in, like, so you saw me in the car, like I had my eyes closed. I'm like trying to map it out, and I get to the puzzle, and the pieces are so big, it's hard to like maneuver them. So it takes almost a minute to like maneuver the pieces themselves. So I, figured out like by the third time, like, okay, I just need to put them straight up and move them. I was
Ricky,
really getting in my head. Yes.
we have a question from Arnold, and is
Yes.
would
Would
you
you
have
have
been
been
able
able
to
to,
take? Yeah,
yeah, would you have been able to take some time before attempting the puzzle to get over motion sickness before the time starts? I guess. I guess you didn't have to go straight to the puzzle. I think maybe
I
the
don't think it
clock
was
would have.
specified.
I don't think it was specified. I think once you stepped up to the puzzle, that's when your time started. Um, I didn't test that theory out. I just went straight to
So
it.
now there were three
I think
cars,
there
and
were
you and only one of them could go at a time, correct?
one at a time. So you'd be loaded in the car waiting for the next one to come. Once they like came behind the station, the next one could go. So finally, after going a few times, I like am in the car and I'm like, why am I not getting this? Why am I so stuck? And then it clicked. I'm like, Rick, like, what are like, it's not a map. Line puzzle. Like, you teach preschoolers this. Like,
Yep.
hello, it's just a 9-piece puzzle. Like, oh, you idiot. Like, so I ended up getting it like within 2 minutes. Like, a 9-piece puzzle. Like, it starts here, you go around, just connect the line, and we were out of there. So like
It was.
the
I have to
whole
say. Well, finish. Sorry,
I was
but
it just was like one of those things that like I totally fell for it. Like the producers and the Amazing Race were like, how can we fool them into like trick them into like doing this really simple puzzle, but like make them confused. And I fell for it 3 times. And finally the last time I was like, duh. It's just a super easy line puzzle. And
because at
so
that point, we have more teams over there, and like something
yeah.
that I have to mention that I found really really funny, and I'm really happy it made the edit. It was when Shane was over there and Juan was doing the puzzle, and I just see like more and more pieces disappearing, and then Shane is just like, oh, he's not gonna get it on the first try. He's not that smart, and then suddenly he's like, check, and he got it, and he's like, oh, that's gonna
Yes.
look bad on TV. And I think at
So
that point,
impressive.
interacting with them, like I was like, these guys are hilarious. Like it was really funny just to have that interaction and like
Yes.
getting to know them a little bit more at that
And
point.
it's so cool because like, when you're able to like step out of that stress and that frustration, like almost able to keep a level head and not be phased by the thrashing of the car and have that prior knowledge and like to be so quick on that. Like he was able to just take a step back and be cool, calm, and collected and be like, boom, done. It was like, that's super impressive. Like, yes, it's a simple puzzle, but to be able to like keep that calm and just like, boom, done. Like 90 seconds, like out of there. So it was cool.
Yeah,
It
that
was
was
nice.
he finished. I ran. I was super proud, and I'm still proud to this day because I know it was really challenging, and I could see the frustration, the heat, and everything.
It
So
was very hard.
we got our clue, and at this point, it's a Megaleg. You need a little reset. So
Yeah, they
the
do a
crew,
reset.
like we've been racing for a little while. The crew needed lunch. I guess like
I
we
will.
just needed to.
I do want to just put something out there. When we got our clue, we were ushered away.
But also we were walking. No, but that is the other thing. You were walking already on that direction. Like
That's
I
true.
just I reach over there, so we have crossed already a line that I don't think anyone else crossed. So we have been like walking towards, like at that point we have talked already to someone. So it's just
Yeah,
it
I
was
guess so. I
wrapped
guess so.
up. I think we were just like on the other side, so we had to stop. We get this little break,
So
and then we get
our race clock stopped at that point, and we were able to take like a tech break,
and it's
and
the
we had
same thing. It's the same time for everyone. So
yeah,
that is just like it stops, then you go. And this has been mentioned on other podcasts. It's more like of a common knowledge at this point, so that's why we're bringing it up. But then we get
Yeah.
the next clue that says the Megaleg continues. Drive to Estadio Francisco Cavazes, the home field of Talleres de Córdoba, to find your next clue. So now, and this is gonna be my tip for future racers later. Just
Wait
the,
1 second.
it's gonna,
Arnold also asked, did we see other teams? Yes. So before we left the roadblock, the 3 teams, actually all of the teams were there. The other
the
5
3 teams. No, at that point were they there? I don't
I'm
think so.
everybody had
No,
arrived.
it
No,
was just no, it was just
it was just the 3. So Rada,
yeah,
Leticia, Amber and Vinny, and Danny and Angie were all there.
correct. They
When-
weren't
when-
there.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I did have a little conversation with Danny. Danny though that saw that Ricky was struggling a little bit.
Oh, that's
Yeah, and Danny again, like this is just
yeah,
a little
because
more
he had offered like, oh, if mom gets it,
behind the
he'll
scenes.
help. And I
He'll
was
help Ricky, and but at that point I was like, you know what, like we it happened the same thing that happened on the first leg with Kishore and Karishma, that we were already ahead. We were sort of getting it. We knew that we were going to be out of there sooner than them, maybe, which ended up happening. So at that point I was like, you know what, like I cannot promise the same thing. So let's just
right,
work.
and there was no time to even communicate that to me.
And I think now looking back at it, like, and knowing everything else that was happening, I mean, I think it was just the best option. Just like keep going, keep like trying to catch up with the guys, and that was about it. So we go on in the next.
Sorry.
Okay, so now I'll mention that later on my tip for future racers. But we in this map, of course, we start looking for every little piece that was green. I could not find the stadium, so we backtrack to the main road. So we backtrack all the dirt road.
Yeah, because there was no round. Like
There was nobody
to
and
ask
also,
directions. We just
and also we
backtracked.
didn't want to get lost, so we made it out. There was a school that was dismissing the children, so we stopped there. We asked for directions. We got our directions. We circled it, and it was maybe like what, another 30 minutes, because
Yeah.
on the map you can see like the city of Cordoba like being surrounded by like a big avenue. So as long as you stay on that one, it would be like the fastest way. So we ended up making it to the stadium. We got there, and there's no other cars, no sign from Juan and Shane, nothing. So we find the clue box. I think no, we looped the stadium once.
We looped the stadium because we weren't sure where it was. Yeah.
But we ended up making it to the front door. We see the clue box, and it says, "Who wants to score?" So now, if you look through the door, you could see that it was a soccer field, right?
You can see the soccer field. Yeah.
I have to tell a little story right here, because
What is the story?
Soccer is not my forte at all. It's a joke that I had with my mom, because as I was growing up, my mom signed me up for soccer classes, right? And like I would go to the soccer classes, and apparently like I just didn't want to play, so they pulled me as a goalkeeper. Well, as a goalkeeper, I guess my team was really good, or there was not much to do, that I would just like get on my knees and like just lean down and maybe like start falling asleep. So all of this happened until one kid told my mom, he went to my mom and he was like, "Hey, like why do you keep bringing your son, like for him to just come and sleep?" So that day was pretty much my last day of soccer, and I was so excited to do this challenge. Why? I don't know. But when we read this clue, I was like, "Ricky, can I do this one?" And you can see it on the edit. And I'm like, why? I have no clue. But I guess it was the best strategy to keep us balanced on Roadblock.
Yeah, it kept us balanced for Roadblock, so might as well.
So we read the instructions, and it says, join a bubble soccer team and score 1 goal before the clock runs out to receive your next clue. And it was 1 minute and 30 seconds, what I have on my notes.
Yeah, per match. Yeah.
Per match. So now you saw on the episode that there were 2 sides of both sides could be used in case there were 2 teams over there. I got there, and I think on my first try, someone like hits me, I'm on the floor, there's no way for me to stand up. Well, I mean, I stood up, but like the time was gone. So then second try, I was able to reach the ball. but someone hits me. I'm on the floor, and I'm like, okay, I won't be able to get this. Like, there's no way. So, and I'm like, my poor leg, like I twisted my ankle in Colombia. We mentioned it as well,
Yeah.
and that happened, and it's just like, again, why was I thinking when I said like, can I do this one? But
Can I
anyways,
do this?
I realized that um, if they could hit me, I can hit them back. And the teams were of 4 players, so if I could get 3 or 4 of their players, my team then can help me. So I start hitting people. I think at one point I hit one of my own team. It was just
Laura's
so
asking,
funny.
did it hurt to fall?
Oh yes, yes. The other thing, you have the handles and you have a GoPro over here. So I think it was BC, the one that got like a little like
Yeah, she got cut.
cut over here.
Didn't you get hit in the face with it as well?
I can't remember. At that point, I think it was more my leg.
Bruise
But
from it.
you bounce, and if you bounce towards the handle, you would hit, or the camera, like that would happen. Anyways, I ended up punching 1, 2, 3 people, and someone set up the
I know.
wall for
Once
me,
it was
and I
so
got it.
funny. Like once you figured it out, like, oh, I don't actually have to play soccer. I just have to knock everybody down, and everyone else plays soccer for me.
Because it could take you like 20 seconds to stand up, and like on a 1 minute and 30-second chance to get the
Yeah,
goal. So
over
yeah,
your time.
that was just, it was really funny. I felt really proud of myself as well, and it's again something that the way that we've been racing, like I know there's stressful moments, but it's like, how can we recover from those stressful moments? And just like, I guess the feeling of accomplishment over the stress one is what got us hyped up. So at that point we got our clue, and it says, route info, make your way to the steps at El Mirador overlooking at Parque Sarmiento. We got directions one more time, and I think this time we got it from the person at the reception of the stadium.
Yeah, there was a security person.
Yeah, so we got it over there. We got in our car. We left.
Security person was just
So
sitting
now the Parque Sarmiento, we have been there already, and you will see it on the map a little bit later, uh, because that's where the Parque del Bicentenario and the Voladoras was. So it was
there.
just
Yes,
going back
park.
tracing a little bit. We make it over there. We still no sign from Juan and Shane at all. We haven't seen them. And we find that it's another detour option because Megaleg. And it says who did it or what's your beef. And who did it does for fingerprints and identify the correct suspects for the criminologist to receive your next clue. And what's your beef? Learn the names of cuts of beef and then correctly identify them for the butcher to receive your next clue. Do you want to mention why we didn't do fingerprints?
Well, I think there were 2 reasons why. First, I think the fingerprinting was further away. We always try to get directions and look for both detours, like which one's further away, which one's closer. And the other one was that the fingerprinting's kind of like a needle in a haystack. It's like you're trying to find a fingerprint. Fingerprints are very unique, very distinct, but also very small, like super detailed. So like if you're in a room, you're looking at these tiny little things. There could be hundreds of them. We don't know. You could spend 30 minutes.
We have no really idea on
an
that.
hour, a needle in a haystack you've seen in past seasons, like take some teams like hours to finish.
And also
So
this one also involved a skill, which is like we just needed.
It's a big risk to take. It could have been fast. You could have gotten lucky. It's like, but do you go with something that's luck, or do you go with something where like, okay, it's 14 things to memorize, 7 things for him, 7 things for me. It didn't end up being 7, but yeah.
The other thing,
it's
I do
like that type of thing.
If you didn't know, I do speak Spanish.
Wait, what? You speak Spanish? I was the Spanish speaker.
I've been reminded by a lot of comments on Reddit, Facebook.
Did we go to South America?
Okay.
God.
Yes, we did.
Are you sure?
Anyways,
we're not in Africa, right?
I do speak Spanish, and I'm a chef. I have to say that my forte is pastry, and I did specify it during the episode.
Yes.
As well, I work with a plant-based company for a long time, so it's like I I saw it as a memory challenge,
Yes.
and I think
But
I was
also,
as
like,
challenged as everyone else.
even if you are like a chef, you don't always like butcher. Being a
And
butcher is
still,
also a different
it,
realm
it
than
it's funny because some of my colleagues have told me like, oh yeah, like while they're watching, they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna do awesome on this one, and then it's like, okay, and I'm like, yeah, I'm mostly a
we.
pastry person. So
Yeah,
we made our way to the frigorifico. Oh, I forgot the name,
yeah. So
but
we picked the where's the beef? What's the beef?
what's your beef?
What's your beef?
Yeah,
And
I
so we
think
made it over there. It
frigorifico.
wasn't too far.
It
It
wasn't
wasn't
really
too far.
far, and
Like
we found it
15
quite
minutes.
easy. Uh, we park and then we see another car. So now the car wasn't sure, but once we got in, we saw a hat, and that was, I
Yeah,
believe, Chain's hat.
yeah.
So I'm like,
Juan and
there's someone,
Shane left their black hat
but
on the
but I
table.
think that our first thought was like they forgot their hat over here.
Yes,
Like
I
they
was like,
forgot it
oh,
because
already on.
they had 45 minutes ahead of us. So at that
Yes,
point we were like they're gone. So now we start memorizing the cuts, and on our first we make our way to the restaurant where the boards were. And
no,
as we
no, we were
enter,
still memorizing.
when they arrive,
The first time we got suited up,
oh,
and while we were memorizing, Juan and Shane come running in, and I was like, oh, they're
I,
here. Like it was like
it
I'm
was
sure it was a
really
shock to them.
surprising.
It was a huge surprise. Like, how the hell did we? Oh, I cursed.
Yeah, really, really.
How the heck did we catch up?
And I
Like,
think at that point our mind clicked into we have a chance at first. So
I was
now,
like, because we were, but like the last two things that we just did, like we knew that they were ahead of us. Like it was going to be like a miracle if we were going to catch up. And
don't did you read the comments? Don't remind Brooke that we were in a
don't remind
Spanish
Brooke.
speaking country. I
Yeah,
think she will remember.
I think she'll remember. I think she'll remember. But yeah, so now we're like, okay, now we're side by side with them. Cool. Like now it's on. So we're going through, we're trying to memorize, Cesar and I kind of split them up. I try to take 7.
Yeah,
I
he tried, and he was cute while doing
tried
it. But
hardest. I think I ended up with like maybe 5 out of the 14.
I think here you've been saying this, like you've been telling me how awesome was our camera person on this episode. Do you want to share that? Do you want to give a shout out to Catherine?
Okay, Catherine, if you're watching this, she is a rock star. We had her for the Megaleg, and oh my god, like a action superstar. So between the
Butcher
the
and the
butcher who
restaurant.
was like, and the restaurant was like a half a block down, half a block over. So you had to run between Catherine, because the camera people are running with you. So they have to get a shot of you running down the street or running in front of you. So they're trying to get all these cool
They're
angles.
fast, they're fit, and they're
They
awesome.
are
Same thing
so
with the audio. Same thing with the
40
audio.
pounds
Everyone.
on their shoulder. So she is literally sprinting down the street next to a car. She literally like stops a car, like in traffic, stop with her hand, and it almost looks like she's gonna slide across the hood of this car. Like
there was a crossing line; they had to stop. But in your mind, like
it literally looked like she was gonna like slide across the hood of this car just to get a shot of us running across the street. Like, talk about commitment to the craft. Like,
yep.
It just like this is the dedication that these people like on the production team.
And you can see it. You can see it on the episodes.
You can see it, and they're artists. Like, they're committed. They're athletes. They're artists. Like it's really incredible. Like, and it's your crew. That's your team. Like there's no like production team.
But that is the cool thing, that there is no stopping for them. So you just
there's no
go,
stopping.
go, and that's the best part.
They have to keep up with you. You have to keep up. Like it's really incredible. So that was like one
Yeah.
of the coolest things like I've ever seen. Like in real life, it was like a stunt. But anyways,
But going back,
going back to the Afro challenge, so we go over, and you hear it in the episode. We like, unbeknownst to us, we steal Juan and Shane's station. And it does. You
and
would
still,
think, oh,
every
doesn't
single
really
time that
matter.
you step up, every single time that you step out, it got reset. Like
You
it's
get
not that you
reset,
left it.
right?
Yes.
But here's why it matters. Because at each of those tables, the cuts of meat are different, and they look different from the ones that you see on the display.
They're
Because you
really
have
close, but there's no way to
they're
get to
close.
exactly same.
Characteristics are different. So you have to. You
Correct.
heard in some people were saying, "Oh, this one's really fatty on this side," or "This looks like this," or "This one's really lean." It wasn't like picture, right? A picture you can see the distinct like outlines and grooves and this. No, like it was the characteristic. So the memorization of these things was a lot harder than
It just
like
went down.
it's,
Like once we realized what was it exactly, because it went literally down to like this one is fattier, and I think we heard Juan or Shane mentioning that like it's just you could see it as you get close, like you had to like yeah really pretty much like, get close to it and try to see all of that.
Juan and Shane say they were so petty about it. Because we took their station. You could hear it. They're like, they took our station. It's like, but now, like knowing, like now seeing it back, it's like, yeah, no, it made a difference, because like you start to recognize those pieces, and like you probably had. I mean, it even said it. You probably had a good half to 3/4 of them already. You already knew them. So now you go to another station and you've got to recognize them. Yeah, so I get it.
We ended up we ended up going like 2 more times by the second, I believe 2 times. Like that time, the guys
We
are
went back.
done. We see them getting it right. They left, and we stayed there. We tried to solve it. We went back 1 more time, came back, and
Yeah,
then we got it. So we were maybe like 15 minutes behind them, something like
yeah.
that. And we get our last clue, and it says route info, race to the pit stop located at Plaza de San Martin, and find field on the map. We
Yes.
start our way over there, and we hit traffic. Lots of traffic. It seems that a lot of the streets were one way, and it was rush hour, I guess, because
Because it's the end of the day at this point.
yeah.
We started 8 or 9 in the morning, and we stopped midday, and so now it's like 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
No, it was a little later, I believe.
It was later.
Yes,
More like
I think
6.
we started. It was a long day, so
It was a long.
Once we're there, we got on the car because it was really there was a lot of traffic. We have hope that the guys got lost. It didn't happen. We get there.
We love you. We hoped you got lost. But they didn't. They made it.
We park. There's another car. We run to fill on the mat, and we got the news that we were second. It was a tough leg. Like it was a lot. It was a long day. We were challenged a couple times, but still we were so happy that we kept our place up front on the pack.
Yeah.
And
every day before we started, like the goal was to stay in the front in that first group. And like Juan and Shane mentioned in their Lost Comms recap, which you guys should check out, they said like staying in that front group is like crucial. I know it sounds silly, like the 15 minutes, like, but it's so crucial. Like
it just gives you that little
bit of wiggle room.
Yes, that if you turn wrong, like if something else happened, and yeah, I mean it's nice to be on the front, and also it gives you a boost of confidence that you're doing good. Like you see it there. Although you see us struggle, it's easier for us to swap from like struggle to being grateful and being happy about it. But that also has to do with the fact that we have pushed to be on the front of the pack, and that's helping you with your morale and just like, yeah, I mean, so now I just want to make a little parenthesis here. We heard it from Danny that, and you can see a little bit on the episode on actually the Read the Clue podcast as well. Check it out, Danny and Angie. He
Mhm.
mentions how they made it first to the mat, but they didn't step on the mat because Amber and Vinny helped them, so they wanted to let them pass first. But Rod and Leticia ended up making it first to the mat, then Vinny and Amber. So one of the reasons that Vinny and Amber got lost might have been us, because we were being held on the side of the park. So I think they saw us and they run towards us. Do you remember this?
Oh,
They run towards us and they were looking for the pit stop. So now the pit stop wasn't hidden, but they saw us, they run towards us.
they
So I
saw
feel like
us.
because,
You
and
know,
also Brother and Leticia went a little bit that way as well.
yes. And you know what's kind of funny? I don't know if this is like behind the scenes. Are we allowed to talk about this happening
Well,
in
it's
other?
just that's about it. That's as much as we're gonna say. Like they
Yeah,
went
so
that way.
the park is open. So we were all in that park. So they saw us. So they ran past us and they like are looking
Yep.
around like, oh, why are they standing here? Phil must be close. And so
And
they were
and I
close, yeah.
think Roy and Leticia were following them, but they ended up making it back to the mat. And then Vinny and Amber, then Danny and Angie, and as we saw in the preview, the starting groups for next week are going to be 2, 2, and 3. So the alliance is going to be broken. So now we have a question
Someone,
here. How do you feel
yes.
about teams forming alliances? I think it's it's something that we didn't really think about. It's something that we have mentioned as well. Like I think we try to run our own race.
Mhm.
Billy mentioned during this episode, like running your own race. It depends on where in the positioning and on the I guess of the leg of the race. But for
Yeah.
us at that point, it didn't make sense. We were on the front
Yeah.
of the
I think
pack. We keep fighting for first.
a lot of our focus was running our own race and like proving to ourselves like what we were capable of. And if there were moments that like we could help others and that didn't affect our race, we were going to do that. Laura is asking, could we see an alliance with the pilots?
I don't know. We
Um,
will see. We will see what happens next week.
yeah, I mean, they're a really strong team. We're in the front of the pack with them. The thing that's tricky is when you're running in the front, it's kind of hard to form an alliance when you're racing for first.
And at this
Because it's
point, we have both. We have both have a taste
then
of
you're
first
working
place.
together and it's like, well, who steps on the mat first to win that prize for the first place win? So it's like it's hard to, like you hear a lot of other racers and other people say it's like, well, when you're racing for first and you're racing for last, there's no such thing as an alliance.
Yeah, I think
Because it's
that's our
like,
mentality
yeah.
at this point. So we haven't faced that
And
placement yet. So we will see what happens.
I think for me, the whole alliance thing, I will say, looking back, like, we're watching what's happening
We didn't know.
for
We
the
didn't know that this happened at this point.
first time because when you're running the race, like you're in your own zone, you have your blinders on, you don't know what's happening to other people. Like they're experiencing their own thing. Juan and Shane say 1,000%.
That is like
you don't
10,000. 10,000.
10,000%. You don't know what's happening. When we watched this for the first time, we were like, whoa, this alliance runs deep. Like the fact that Amber was like so emotional, that means that like there is some very deep connection here that they've made that they're gonna really watch each other's back. Does it work out for them in the future of this leg? Like, yeah, it does kind of. They're able to help each other out. And an alliance could be good. I think the Amazing Race isn't always a social game. It can be.
Exactly. And I think like as a super fan, like for me, is not the best episode. Well, the episode I loved it. I mean, but the best move. I want to say the best move for me as a viewer, as a super fan. Why? Because I'm extremely competitive, and just seeing it, I would be like, why? Like, what is the purpose? I get it. Like, it paid off for them, but
Yeah.
yet I'm asking myself, like, why?
Why?
Why? Exactly. Like, I'm super
Why?
competitive.
Why
It
do
is a
you
race.
need
It's $1
like
million,
here,
and
here's the thing. Here's the thing that kind of drove me a little crazy. And I think all three of those teams are extremely capable. And this is why, like, I think it made me a little frustrated, I guess, because like Dan and Angie, like, they are brilliant. And as much as they're like, oh, Angie, blah, blah, Angie is strong.
yes,
She is like, she is competitive. You see her, she is not afraid to say no. She is not afraid to like shut down a bad idea. She's not afraid to speak her opinion.
and also
She's
physically, like going up the steps on
physically,
Guatapé,
you saw her go up the
it wasn't
steps.
easy.
You saw her keep up with us. She is
Correct.
not weak, people. Danny is strong. He is very smart. So they're not a team that like isn't capable of running the Megaleg on their own.
But
Amber and
also,
Vinny
I have to say, Amber and
are
Vinny and Rod.
also extremely
Yeah.
strong. So like Rod and Leticia are also extremely strong. So like for me, I didn't see the need for an alliance during the Megaleg.
But also, we have to say that the need like was because we didn't know where Derek and Shalisa were. So just to wrap up the idea of the alliance, like I think it
Everybody can
depends.
talk about
Yes,
this alliance for hours, and
yeah,
I think they played it to their advantage. Did I
it
think they
worked.
needed to?
I
I
don't
don't
think it
think.
was the nicest thing to block Melissa and Ivan and Busy and Sunny. I think that was a little harsh, but again, we weren't there. We weren't in either side.
You know,
As a viewer,
it's
I'm talking as a viewer. Like
true
this is
as
something that we saw, but it ended up working for them. They made it there.
I go with the positive side as I don't think they needed it. I think they're all extremely strong players, and they're that's my opinion. There was nowhere that was happening at the beginning of the first episodes that said these are weak teams. And she almost had a heat stroke in the first episode and pushed through.
Ricky, by
That's
any chance, did it cross your mind taking a penalty? We have a question over here.
never, ever, ever would I ever consider taking a penalty. Never.
So far.
So far,
We don't
never.
know what happens on the next episode.
Ever, 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 never, ever would I ever consider. If I went back on the race, never. Why?
You're right. I mean, I share the same thing, but like
broke my leg, maybe I'll take a penalty because they kicked me off of the show. Why? Why would I ever? 4 hours? I'd rather spend 4 hours doing the task and failing and failing and failing and failing and failing, and knowing that I went
that's
home
what I love you. And
failing
that's what I love
over and
you.
over
Because
and over again.
we were there. We were
Great
full on.
question
Game on.
for asking that question. Would never, ever, ever.
Perfect. So now we are pretty much wrapped up with this episode.
You want to show some of the maps?
I do have some maps to show. So
You know, we
these are
love our
just for
visuals.
we have these maps just as a reference for you to see how far things were. If you want to show first one, the closer one that has the most things,
This one.
please. And yeah, I mean, I take pride of my maps because I do remember where things were. We have the pit start in green, and then we have the first route info with the rings. Right away, we have the Voladoras. I do not remember where the bicycles were, but they were a little farther. So the fact that the Voladoras were just over there, I think was as well to trick us. And that might have been the reason for so many teams picking Voladoras over bicycles. But yeah, they were close by. After the Voladoras, we went to the bigger map. That was the Circuito. And then we're gonna go back to this one. So, but I just want to see like, so pretty much from the pit start to the Bicentenario, where the first route info was about 9 minutes, then 4 or 5 minutes to the Voladoras, and then about 40 minutes to the Circuito.
You want to see the circuit one?
Yeah, just as a reference.
Sorry.
Because that's the only thing that we have far. Everything else feed on that small one. So we'll see it again. I think so far our strength as well has been navigation, because a lot of people have been asking like, how do they keep passing teams? I'm good at navigation, and I think Ricky realized that as we were running the race, especially what was it in Chile. So we had our conversation and we trusted each other. Like we made it to the Circuito, which was really far, and then from there it was back to the soccer, which was the stadium all the way down. Can you go back to the other map? Is it bad? Your elevator music. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. If you're liking it, please make sure that you like the video. That will help us a lot. And just going back to this other map, on the bottom of the map, there's a roadblock, which is the Who Wants to Score. Then back to Parque Sarmiento on the stairs. Finally, the beef, that was another maybe 10 minutes. And then the pit stop that was super close to the pit stop. But yeah, like that, you have a little bit more of an idea on how far we were there. And then the other thing that we have, I'm going to show you my drawings, my professional drawings. I think I'm going to become an artist now because they're so good. I've been getting so many compliments. Not really, but I have to have myself. On this one, we have here a person or greeter on the mat, and also a little apron, the gloves, the hat, and a little bit more of info you get there as well, like the date where we raised that leg.
Yeah,
we're trying to take as many details as we could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Finally,
think that's all the details possible.
Ricky, do you have a tip for future racers?
Tip for future racers. Yeah, I guess
one of
you're
mine.
Gonna get what's yours, so I can have a moment to brainstorm.
So, well, I have check your map. So, if you get a map, just make sure to scan it as much as possible. Because we were heading somewhere, I was focused on where we were going. But I think in this case, we got the stadium, which stadiums or things like that, you would see it as a park, or if there are parks and your map has like highlighted in green, most likely that's a park, stadium, and all of that, which should help. But finding the soccer one, all the stadiums on the map had either a ball or something. There was something there that was a bearing that I could have find it without even stopping to ask directions. So I think that's one of the tips. If you have a map, try to scan it. I know it will take time, and I think that's what we didn't do it exactly, because we were like, let's just ask. But because we were so far out on the dirt road, it was just easier to stop by someone. But now thinking backwards, like I had the whole dirt road to look at it a little bit more in detail and try to find the stadium. And my other tips for future racer is, although it also will take time, read the description for both detours. And read it, make sure that you're picking the right one. You can always change. If you say that you're doing A, you can always change to B, even if you're on your way there, even if you had started it. So read the description, because you might see something that makes a click that either that's going to be the good one for you or not. So it might take you 1 more minute, 2 more minutes, read it, comprehend it, and make sure that you're picking the right detour. And I think those are my 2 tips for future racers. Ricky, do you have one?
I think my tip will be, don't get too laser focused. I think when I was at the Roadblock, I was so fixated on that it was a map. It's a map. You got to map it out and memorize the track. And I think if I wasn't so laser focused that it was a map, that I would have recognized like, oh, it's just a line puzzle. So, making sure that, if you're looking at a vantage point and thinking outside of the box for every different thing. Yeah, I guess that's kind of my quick little tip. I don't think I have another one. There were a couple
that's
of,
great.
yeah, and also don't let your frustrations get you down. Like, I was frustrated, but I was able to keep pushing forward. And just don't let it's okay to be frustrated, but don't let it stop you. And don't say, I can't. You can. It's hard now. Just have to keep going.
Now that we're looking back to the puzzle, we have a question here. Don't you think throwing the puzzle pieces on the ground made it take longer?
Rosa, absolutely. I think I only did that once, the very first time. Maybe I did it the second time, but then I realized it was like, okay, this is taking extra 30 seconds to put it on the floor. So I started just putting them up and then rearranging them. It took way too long to throw them down and pick them up, throw them out, pick them up. So yeah, I did stop doing that.
Yep. So for anyone that is just watching later, leave your questions there. We're going to read them. For everyone that joined us today, thank you so much. We really appreciate that you join us. Hope you're liking it. Hope you're enjoying this. We will have one more next week, because next week we're going to Uruguay. And
please also like and subscribe to our page. Every subscription and helps. You can also find us on Instagram at Rickians. That's our.
So Ricky,
on there.
Just
yes.
To finally wrap it up, what did you see on the preview for next week?
We have beautiful costumes.
Full costumes! Finally!
Full costumes.
I'm so excited. That's what I've been waiting for. We don't know what we're doing yet, but I was just so happy to see customs. Well, we knew what we were doing.
We did see Yvonne doing a little singing.
That's true. Also, I saw you falling.
I did fall.
Really gracefully, and then you
very gracefully. I think it was more like a ninja roll. Go back and look.
Okay, we'll see. I'll just wait for Wednesday. So, yep.
It was more of a
excited for next week's episode. And a recap, most likely on Sunday.
Yes.
And we'll see you then. Thanks, everyone, again for joining. And we will see you next week. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.